Good afternoon, everyone. Name is Tony Reid. I am co-founder of Drone Cadets. I'm just going to tell you a little bit about my story, how I started this. 2011, I started my journey as a New York City corrections officer in Rikers Island, and I was placed in the adolescence. I was 16 to 18-year-olds. From there, seeing a lot of young individuals come in and out of jail. You know, recidivism is huge. It's big in New York City, in New York State, globally wise, in the United States it is. So 2016, ask, right? Next slide. I had to ask a question, right? I wanted to ask this question, as a correction officer, you know, what if I could break, right? If I could break the chain. Next slide. Saw the need. I wanted to break the chain. 2016, again, the FAA, the Federal Aviation Administration, came out with the Unmanned Aircraft General Exam. And there I took this exam and my career took off, right? I created a curriculum mandated towards drone technology for the youth. And this whole is during my presence still in the correction department. And as I'm doing this, I started training the youth. Next slide. Started training the youth, and as I was training the youth, I saw that there's a method on ways that we could literally change the trajectory and the course of these youth by exposing them at an early age to block out that recidivism. Drone technology is one of the most disruptive technologies around. All right, we're using it during COVID-19. We use it for environmental spraying. We use it for drone deliveries. We're using it now. And this is the time, during this course when I started training and started building this curriculum, we've had over so many students, thousands of students I've already trained throughout the Hudson Valley and New York City area, internationally, from the Bahamas to Curacao, and we're touching parts of Africa. So, now that COVID-19, we have gone virtual, done our camps online here. We've done tons of outreach, and next slide. What we're going to be looking for, right? What we are looking for, and the passion that I have for this industry is that, I want to make it scalable. I put nationwide, but I'm talking globally, because the thing about drone technology, it disrupts every industry, all right? From product to service to safety. And these are the jobs and careers that I want to expose more Black and brown students to, all right? I need, we have a train the trainer program, I need a volunteers, trainers, right? I need equipment sponsors. Drones cost money, right? The products are expensive, so I do need sponsors on that. Back-end solutions. We have an app right now that we can be able to track our students, their flight hours, so then we actually do this pipeline to these major corporations that I'm in, the relationships I've already created. They can see the flight hours, they can see exactly where they've been and how they're scalable in the industry. These are the things that, it's going to make people of color build, and these are the jobs of the future. As a military man, I've seen it, I've witnessed what, the jails could do to a young man, all right, and ways that we could prevent that. And I believe if we expose them to this technology at an early age, we can drive down recidivism. Thank you very much. My question to the panel is, right, since my course that I do have, my curriculum, a lot of times Wi-Fi is an issue, right? So Wi-Fi is a big thing in a lot of communities that I teach in. So how do we overcome that digital divide, right? Because we have two devices, right? The drones themselves have to be on an iPad or an iOS device, right, or an Android, and then they have to look at, a laptop. So how do we fight that, to make Wi-Fi more accessible to the areas where minority communities are at, so that they could be, scalable, and they could be able to learn the products and the services that I want to teach to them.
Burge or Ron, did you want to jump in? Because I do. Sure, I'll share a little bit. Thank you, first off, Tony. And that was your story, and the motivation behind this was absolutely inspirational. I think you're onto something wonderful. Question for you: are you gearing this for? I see the picture and I see really young people. Is it intended for the elementary grade, or is it
So,
intended for a wider audience?
so we start them at 8 years old. That's where we start them at. It's a pipeline. So we have drone cadets juniors, then we have drone cadets teens, and then they drive into our drone lecture phase. So it's a pipeline that we keep. We have to keep tabs, right? So we have to keep.
Yep.
It's for all audiences. Let's just say from 8 to 88. How about that?
All right, that's great. That's fantastic. So I've seen so many things in education that are meant to take what is science and math and bring it into something that's manipulative. And I kind of feel this is a little bit along with that thesis. And I think there's a lot of great examples out there that are doing that sort of thing. I also think there's an awakening on tech when it comes to the career and tech ed programs that are out there, energizing them with newer technologies. And I think this kind of fits so nicely into that model. So I support it all the way. I also would say, you mentioned the need for Wi-Fi. There are companies that are dedicated to Wi-Fi solutions, home-based Wi-Fi solutions for education. I know a few. I'd be glad to collaborate with you offline and share some of those names with you and the connections that I have at some of those organizations, so you don't have to call like an 800 number and be a stranger. I'd be glad to be part of this. I think you're onto something wonderful, and I think we all know you give the students, young people, an opportunity to own something, control something. It's transformational when it comes to their attitudes around education. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Burge. Dr. Coleman, did you want to add something as well?
Yeah, I do. Okay, first of all, yeah, great idea. I see it as a supplement to STEM as opposed to a solution, because I mean it's a great process as far as teaching them how to learn how to program and operate drones and keep them occupied. The digital divide, if you didn't know, 36% of African American homes have no broadband or computers in them. That comes straight from census information from the American Community Survey. So that's over a third of the homes of African Americans that do not have either. So the digital divide is real, as we know. How do we overcome it? We need big business to get involved because if they're living in urban areas, they certainly have a plethora of service providers that can do something about the fact that these homes don't have any type of technology in them. Affordable is the other question. So having access is one thing, making it affordable is the other thing. If your population of students that you're serving are on the lower end of the economic spectrum. So
Right.
Those two things are the hurdles that need to be overcome. Telecommunications is key. So if Burge knows someone that can help out in those urban areas, rural areas are a whole nother beast. I'm not sure if you're trying to work with anybody in rural areas where they don't have anything going on out there at all. That's a larger problem. And if there's bandwidth, it all is shared by everybody. So you're not going to probably have enough for them to be able to participate at the current time. So when we start treating internet like a utility, which it is now, like water, electricity, and gas, then we will be able to overcome the digital divide. Right now, it's treated as a commodity, as a luxury. How bad do you want it? How bad do you need it? As opposed to it being something that is accessible for all as part of day-to-day life, which is what we need.